Hi all. So in my last video, I discussed about, or I explained about how to do the Canada migration, how to start, and what is educational credential assessment. So the so in today's video, I'm going to discuss about IELTS. That is how to prepare for IELTS, what all things has to be considered, or what all things you should be very cautious about before going for IELTS, why is it important, and how to prepare for IELTS to get the magic score. So that is what I'm going to discuss. So first of all, you have to understand that IELTS is one of the most important or most difficult step in the Canadian immigration. Why it is so is we have to get a particular score. So most of the cases it is 8777, that is in listening it is 8, and all the other modules, that is reading, writing and speaking, we have to get a 7. Since we are not native speakers, or even the native speakers find it difficult to get this to reach this level or get this score. And there are a number of doubts regarding how to crack this IELTS, and what you can do to improve the IELTS. And many people often ask, like, whether if I get 8 in listening in my first attempt, and in the second attempt I have 7 in listening, but all the other sessions I have cleared, that is I got 7, so whether I can combine these two results. No, whenever you write the IELTS the exam, you will get a score. That score is only, you cannot combine two different scores or two different you can pick the score of one session from your attempt one, and the second score from, no, you cannot do it like that. You can only get you have to get the required score for all the sessions in one attempt. So in one attempt, or like in your exam results. So that is, if you are getting the scored 8777 in your third, means then it is fine. But if you miss any of the sessions by point 0.5 in your second or third, it doesn't make sense. And many ask questions like whether 8777 is required to create an express entry profile in Canada website. No, it is not required. There is a minimum score, that is CLB 6 or 6.5, that is the minimum score. But as I said, IELTS is one of the criteria to get the required CRS score for getting invitation to apply, that is ITA. So most of the people, when most of the Indians who are applying, they will require this 8777 to get that score somewhere near 450s or the 460s, which is having much more possibility to get your invitation. So that is why IELTS is very much important, because otherwise your CRS score will not improve if you cannot speak French, or if you have not completed any other exams like CELPIP or TEF or etc. So you have to get this score, because that is the only one place we can improve, or we can get that desired score. So how to prepare for IELTS? So I will explain how I did my IELTS, or how I cleared my IELTS. And before that, I will why I'm saying this. Okay, many ask questions like whether you have cleared the IELTS in the first time, or what is your score. So let me explain my path. How I cleared the not how what was my score. So I wrote IELTS twice. As I said earlier, many people will require more than one attempts to clear, to get the magic score. So don't feel inferior, or don't feel worried about, like, I did not get the required score in the first attempt. No, it is you don't have to think like that, because most of the people, even the native speakers, there is the people from US and the people from Britain who speaks only English, they also will require more than most of the people requires more than one attempt to clear IELTS because of various reasons. So you don't have to be worried, but only thing is that you should be prepared to face the exam or sit for the exam more than once or twice or thrice. So I wrote IELTS twice. In my second attempt, I got the desired score. So in my first attempt, I gave the exam. I attempted IELTS in on December 1st or 2nd 2018. So that is when I wrote the exam. So I started my preparation by October, or even by September last. I started preparing for my first attempt. So I was and I got the results. So my result was like a 7.5 in listening. So I missed that section for point 0.5, where it is required ideally. And reading I got 9, and writing I got 7, and for speaking I got 6.5. Since I'm not not I'm born and brought up, and I completed my all my education in Kerala. I have this mother tongue influence, so my spoken language is not that great. So it was 6.5. So I missed two sessions, two sections of IELTS, that is listening and speaking for zero point 0.5. I got my results. So then I had to prepare some more, or I have to improve these two sections. So I was preparing. So I gave it some time. I did not prepare for a while until I was ready. So I then again I started my preparations on February 2019, and I gave my exams around March 2nd or March 1st. I don't remember exact date, but in March 2019, and I got the results by mid of March, and my result was I got 9 in listening, and 9 in reading, and 7 in writing, 6.5 in writing, and 7.5 in speaking. So this time also I missed one of the sections, that is writing by zero point 0.5. But I was almost confident that okay, my writing was okay, because the previous time when I wrote IELTS, I got a 7 in writing, and I was sure that I have followed the same format in my writing session in the second time also. So I gave it a try. I just I thought of taking a small risk, I thought of going for an re-evaluation. So I went for the EUR. Uh, Once I got the TRF, that is the test report form, and then after the re-evaluation, my score for writing improved from 6.5 to 7. So that's how, and my final score is like a 9, 9, 7, and 7.5. That is 7 in 9 and 9 in reading and listening, and 7 in writing, and 7.5 in speaking. So that's my score about. So I will tell you how I prepared for IELTS the first time and the second time. So before you apply for before you go for IELTS or sit for IELTS or start the preparation, it is always better to understand where you stand exactly in your English language ability. So it is all about English. So you have to understand where do you stand. So first, it is always better to do a level check. So it is done by different agencies. You can do it, some agencies do the level checks for free, and there are other organizations like British Council. I don't know, in British Council Chennai they do a level check. You have to pay like 600 rupees to go for that level check in British Council Chennai. In fact, I actually went, and they charge like 600 or 700 rupees. I don't remember the exact price, but actually, one thing you have to be careful is that the British Council in Chennai, they don't have a parking facility, or they don't have a place to keep your stuff. So if you are going there, then be prepared to go. Don't carry any stuff. So I came back from British Council just because they don't have a parking facility, or they don't have a place to keep your bags or helmets or whatever you are taking. So I even raised this issue with their support team, when they called me why did you did not attend the exam, because I went there alone, but there is no facilities to do these things. So be careful, if you're going there, be prepared to go there without having much things to carry, or don't take your vehicles, so they don't have a place exactly actually. So that is the one thing. So I did not go there, or I was not able to do that on that particular day. Then later I got another offer from some other agencies like InSync. They do these level checks for free, uh, but uh, the problem here, which I felt, is they often give you a lesser score than what you actually deserve. So in sync, when I went there, they before the exam they told us like whatever score you are getting after our preparation or after our coaching classes, there are at the maximum you will be improving your score by 1.5 points. So I took the score, and after 10 days they gave me they called me and gave my results. So they gave like a 4 or 4.5 in speaking or reading or something. I don't remember what is but anyway they have given my lowest score was like a 4.5 and my maximum score was around 5 or 5.5. So I was sure that okay, even if I go for a coaching and they charge like 18,000 rupees for 1 month course or something, I don't remember. So even if I go there, means my 4 or 4.5 will maximum increase to 6, which is definitely not the required score. I need more than that. So if they themselves have confirmed that okay you will improve 1.5, then there is no point in going there if they can only improve my score just by 1.5 points and my score is at 4.5. And one thing I was more sure is that whatever be my score, I cannot go to that 4.5 levels at that time itself. I had a self when I do the checks or when I write the exams, I have a self evaluation like where do I stand or at the maximum, where can I go. The lowest score which I will receive is definitely it is not 4 or 4.5. I was pretty sure at that time it's also. So I decided not to take any coaching because I felt like okay this is just a business um, rather than giving you a transparent evaluation. This level checks are not you cannot depend on those level checks much. So that's when I decided like I will prepare myself for IELTS. I don't go for any coaching from anyone to appear for IELTS. So I took that risk and I thought like I will attend the IELTS by December on December 2018. Before that, I was concentrating mostly on two sections. One is listening, because um, listening part I don't watch a lot of English movies or anything because I used to watch, but not nowadays because I never used to get so much of time to watch movies or anything. So my listening ability is very less. So I was aware about that. I was aware that okay I don't have that listening skills. So and even if you have listening skills, it is pretty hard to understand. It was pretty hard for me to understand like different accents. For example, I still remember an mock test which I took where two people are talking to each other, and one lady just came after her after jogging, and she was continuously gasping and she was talking too fast. I was not able to follow up like what they were trying to say. I missed out a lot of number of questions, like 2 or 3 questions. If you miss 3 questions in one session, means then you will not get. Mostly, you will not get that 8 band, because for getting an 8 band in listening, you will have to get at least 35 answers correct out of the 40 questions. So if 6 of your answers are wrong, that means that okay you are not going to get that 8. It is as simple as that. um, so that is one thing which that part listening I was completely concentrating on listening, and I was concentrating on writing during my first attempt, because reading I took some mock test for reading, so I was able to get 36, 37, 38, or even 40 answers correct. So I understood that okay after like a 4 or 5 test mock test on reading, I can evaluate myself like I will be able to get that 7 score very easily. So then there is no point in spending much time on reading, because if you are very confident that okay you will get 7 or 8 in reading, means then there is no point in spending time or wasting time on that reading session. So I can utilize that time for other sections. Speaking, yes, okay. One thing which I did before my IELTS is like I joined a lot number of FB groups for IELTS as well as for migrations to one, and I got connected with. I tried to connect with a lot of people. So there was one girl from Punjab. So she was also writing IELTS during that time. So then we started talking each other, and she told me like, okay, she will help me out, or we can help each other to get the IELTS cleared. For the speaking session, we can always telephone and correct ourselves, like what is missing in my speaking or her speaking. So we could, and of course she was writing it for the third or fourth time, so she was able to give me an idea about uh, um, how to write or approach different sections, as well as the strategies which I could use during my test. uh, and she was even doing some IELTS training at that point of time, even though she missed some sections for just point 0.5 in many of the her attempts. She just it is not like you are not good at English, or it is sometimes it can be called as luck also, maybe, like, I don't know, because you have cleared writing. She had cleared writing thrice in her all the three attempts, but in the last attempt she missed the writing for a point 0.5. Then she went for reevaluation, and then she got that point 0.5. So that is uh, how it works. It is sometimes luck, or a small like you miss the concentration during some section, means then your IELTS is gone, and which means that, okay, your 13,000 is also gone. So she was also doing the coaching for IELTS aspirants during that time. So we got connected through FB, and we started mostly she started helping me there, rather than me helping her for the IELTS. But yes, she was almost on her final attempt, that is when we start talking each other. So she helped me on speaking session, which is very important. So if you can depend on a partner for speaking, then it is well and good, because you can correct that too, if that partner, if they have attempted IELTS previously, then they will know, like how the IELTS interview or the IELTS speaking test is being conducted, and what are the questions, and how you have to respond to each of these questions. So that is well and good. Otherwise, you can always YouTube on JAY videos for the speaking. And so there are some strategies. He is explaining on some of the strategies. So one of the strategies which I used during my speaking test is to use a lot of complex sentences, because I'm sure that, okay, my grammar is not that great, but yeah, pretty decent grammar, not an excellent grammar, and my vocabulary is also very uh, not an excellent one, I will say, like average vocabulary. Like I cannot use a lot of vocabularies. So the only point where I can improve is, like, I can use a lot of complex sentences. So I started using it because that is the only area where I can score some marks. And the other area which according to the J video is, like, whenever you answer some stories, or like so give some examples or respond, you can always, there is a section where you have to continuously talk for like 2 minutes. So that is, the interviewer will give you a topic, and you are supposed to answer for 1 minute or 2 minutes. So during that time, that 2 minutes, you can always include some stories, and you can always answer in a way like you are using all the tenses, that is present tense, past tense, and future tense. So that is one strategy which the J is explaining in his videos. So I adopted that strategy, as well as the strategy of using a lot of complex sentences. That is how I did my speaking, and I cleared my speaking in the second attempt. And one thing I have to mention is, like, except from Kirti, who is my friend in Punjab, I also took an online training from one of the online teachers from Chennai. So she helped me. She is, I believe, some English professor somewhere. I don't know exactly, but I took 2 hour sessions, like 1 hour, 1 hour when I applied for IELTS during the second time, And she gave me some feedback and asked me to correct certain areas like present tense, past tense, and complex sentences, and some other areas. So she was charging around 600 or 700 rupees per hour for a speaking session. So it is an online Skype video call, where she will correct and give you some strategies or some vocabulary or grammar, which I could improve. So I attended 1 hour session when I applied for Ielts. Then after she gave me proposals to correct strategies to implement. Then after like self preparation for around 10-15 days before the exam, that is before the speaking test, one day before, I again for one more hour training with her, and where of course I tried to include most of her suggestions. And she was like, okay, I might get a 6 point, more than 6.5, or somewhere close to 7. That is what her um, that is how she evaluated my speaking. So she said like, okay, you might receive a 6.7 or 6.8, or somewhere very close to 7, but it is not a sure shot like I will definitely get a 7. Yeah, it was so I was a bit tense because she was not giving any confirmation like I have reached that level. But anyway, I have applied for the IELTS, so I tried to improve during the exam as well. So but somehow I managed to get that 7.5, but I'm still aware that okay, I might be worth only for a 6.7 or 7 during that time. I don't know, maybe I might have used the very good sentence, or somehow I managed to get that 7.5. That's all I can say. So that's all about the speaking test. Then about the writing, I did not prepare much for the writing because I already got 7 during my first IELTS exam. So I'll say like what I followed during the IELTS writing. So what I did is like, again, this Punjabi friend Kirti, she helped me on the writing task 1 and task 2. So she's the one who helped me to understand how the paragraph should be formatted, how many paragraph needs to be I have to write for the IELTS exam, how to use the sentence and how to paraphrase them. So these are the key things which you have to stick to, like the paragraphing, that is how many paragraphs you have to use. Because whenever we write an essay, we always try to used to write that essay from the middle of a line. That is, we start the essay from the middle of the line, and the second, like the alignment, and the second line we start from the left hand side. So that is not really required. Actually, that is a bad practice for writing essay in IELTS. You have to start all your paragraphs on the left hand side, and you have to make sure that okay, what are the contents in the paragraph. For example, for writing an essay, it has to start from the introductory paragraph, where the first sentence of the paragraph is always paraphrase the question. That is, uh, pe- people say like smoking is injurious to health. So you can always paraphrase that sentence in a way like, many tend to say that smoking is injurious to health, or there are a lot of health issues because of smoking. So like somehow you can paraphrase, like you can use the active voice or the passive voice for the paraphrase. And the second sentence, if they have asked for your opinion, that is, what is your opinion, then the second sentence or the last sentence of the introductory section should be your opinion. You can say like, you have to clearly mention that I agreed for that, I agree with the above statement, or I agree that smoking is injurious to health, or there are several health issues being caused because of the habit of smoking, or something like that. You have to the point is, you have to clearly mention what you are trying to say and what is your opinion on that. And sometimes now in the recent days, what I can see is like, it is not an opinion question, it is always saying like, okay, discuss in detail. So then you can say like, okay, this essay will discuss about. So it can start like that. So there is one introductory paragraph, and the second or there can be like if it is an opinion question, you can add like two or three paragraphs in the middle, like if you agree, then you can add one paragraph to substantiate that why you agree, what are the points you can, if it is an advantage, like what are the advantages you see, or if it is a problem, what are the problems, and what are the solutions for that problem. So if you have to if you want to substantiate. Similarly, for the disagree or for the disadvantages also, or for disadvantages also, you can say the problem, solution, or whatever it is, and a conclusion paragraph on what you discussed, and what is the crux of that essay or whatever it is. So there is so that is how the paragraphing is important. And it is also there are you can always Google or go to the British Council website on how the essays are being evaluated. So there are four different criteria. One is the grammatical grammar you are using, or the other one is the paragraphing, and the other one is like how much task response. You are given with a task to write about smoking, but if you are saying something about liquor, alcohol, then your task response is not complete. They are asking some question and you are answering something else. So it is not what is required. So your response to the question, whether you can understand the question and whether you can answer it properly. So there are different criteria. There are four criteria mainly. So you can go to British Council website on how they evaluate this one to understand what is the criteria. So that is how. And of course I corrected my essays with Kirti to understand where, and she gave some solutions. So I wrote around like 8 to 9 essays in my first IELTS, and similarly for letter writing also I wrote like 8 or 9 letters. So gradually one thing for writing you can understand is like whenever you start writing, then gradually over the time, like after 1 or 2 or 5 essays, so then you will be gradually improving, even if you know it or not, but you will be definitely improving in your writing skills, or the words you are using, the vocabulary and the sentences which you construct, definitely you will be improving. So that's how I prepared for writing in my first attempt. And the second attempt, when I got a 7 during the first attempt, what I did is like I used the same format, same structures, or same strategy in my second IELTS also. So I used a lot of complex sentences, and that is a very very complex sentence. It is not like a simple complex sentence. Uh, I used a lot of however, because since everything, so to make sure that okay, the sentence is very complex and it is very lengthy, and some vocabulary to an extent, not to that great extent, because I don't have a great vocabulary. So whatever I know, wherever I can include those vocabulary, I used it, and made sure that okay, the vocabulary which I am using is not inappropriate. So that is one thing. Even if you have great vocabulary, you should you should know where to use and where you should not use that. So that is one important thing. So that's how I prepared for my writing during my IELTS. And the reading session was pretty easy for me. Like I tried 2 or 3 reading tests. So I got like 38, 39, 40. So then after 4 or 5 tests, I just skipped the reading session, because I don't want to waste time on that reading. Yeah, so you can do like my strength, key strength was on reading, but if your key strength is on listening or like writing, then probably then you need not spend time or waste time on the sections which you are very strong. Just you can just refresh those areas like 1 or 2 days before the exam, to understand like okay, you are well prepared for the exam, just to make sure. And it will always improve your confidence as well. Like if you are getting just 1 day before the exam, if you are doing one writing and you are getting a 40, means then it increases your confidence. So you can just happily attend that reading session and make sure that okay, you are getting that 9. So don't waste time on that sections which you are very clear. And for reading and listening, there is another one advantage is there, because the tests are available in the public domain, and the answer sheets or the answer key is also available in the public domain. Like internet or YouTube, you have n number of mock tests. So once you attempt the test, you have the answer keys. so you can value it and you can clearly understand like where you stand. But for writing and for speaking, it is being evaluated by the invigilator during the exam. So after the exam or during the exam, so you don't have access to your, or you need another one person or to evaluate your writing or speaking skills. But whoever it is evaluating, there will not be an IELTS examiner, so they might not completely understand how the IELTS examiner will be evaluating, but to an extent they can help you. So listening and reading, there is this advantage. So reading, I did it in this way, like I attempted mock test. So so when you are writing a mock text before applying for the IELTS, if you are scoring like less than 35 in reading, or less than 35 consistently in reading and listening, then it is always better to improve your score and then apply for IELTS, because less than 35 consistently means probably you will only get you will not get that 35 during the exam as well, which means that you will not get that 7 in reading or 8 in listening. So don't waste your time. So make sure that you spend some more time to get more than 35 in both these sessions and then apply for the IELTS or book the examination data. So that is always better. For listening, what I did is like there are a lot of YouTube videos. You can search by uh, IELTS Cambridge listening test. So you will get the videos where the audio will be played, and on the screen itself you will have that answer sheet or the questions. So what I did is like I play the YouTube audio, and I will look at the in the it is a video actually. So but basically there is the audio, and the video means it is like a static page screen with all the questions, and what is the answer you are supposed to write. No answer, but if it is a fill in the blanks means that filling the blanks questions will be there. So I was writing the answers on a separate sheet, and by the end of that video there is the answer key will be displayed, and with that answer key I used to correct myself on what is the, and I made sure that even if one single word or one capital letter is missing means that I used to consider it as a wrong answer, because you are supposed to consider it as a wrong answer. So make sure that you don't cheat that answer. Don't cheat yourself, because there is no point in cheating. So you will be able to self evaluate this reading and listening. So there are a lot of YouTube videos, so it is better to do a lot of if you are not good in listening. If you are very good in listening, like every time you are getting more than 36 or 37 means, then there is no, you need not spend or waste time on listening session. But in my case, the section which I felt very difficult was listening and speaking. So listening, I did this I did a lot of mock tests. Like the first time I did randomly, like maybe like 10-15, and I started getting that 34-35, but not completely. On an average I was getting less than 35, but still I applied for the IELTS exam to understand where do I stand. But during my when I booked my second IELTS, what I did is like I made a timeline for doing all these mock tests. So for 20 days or for it was in February, so almost for 20 days or 25 days I was doing around 2 mock tests every day. So almost for 20 days I believe, so almost I did 40 or 44 mock tests for listening. And after say a week, so after like a 10 test, I started getting more than 35. On an average I was getting 35 or more than 35. Sometimes I missed and even if I missed once or twice, it was for like 33 or 34. So on an average, if I check on an average of all these 44 tests, which I always scored more than 35. Sometimes I got like 37, 38, 39. So it boosted my confidence. So then I went for the IELTS test, and I was easily able to crack listening for 9. So it is the preparation. So if you are on the edge like 34 or 35, it is a matter of preparation. You can prepare well and you can go and clear it. But this is for people who are doing the level check and who are confident in like self like if you're confident that okay self coaching or if you can prepare yourself and you can get it. But if you are not very good in English, or, or I'm not saying that not very good, yes, even I was not very good in English. So if your English language is not at all good, if you're poor in English, then you probably will require some kind of coaching, which most of the coaching classes will be able to do. So if you are if you cannot speak English for like at least for like 1 minute or 2 minutes, if you have a lot of fillers, if you don't have vocabulary, or most importantly if you don't have that grammar and spellings, which is very very important, like where to use is, where to use was, where to use are, and where to use where. So if you are still not confident, or if you are still not aware about where to use these grammars, and if you have a lot of spelling mistakes, then you probably will definitely require a coaching, that is a formal coaching, um, from any coaching or teachers or online coaching, so whatever it is. So but it is still but if you are like if you have a very decent English, not excellent, then probably you can do for self coaching, like anyway the coaching centers charge like 18,000 to 20,000 in Chennai. So with that same amount you can attempt IELTS once for 13,000 and understand like where do you stand, and after that you can prepare for 1 or 2 months and go for the IELTS exam. Maybe like you might require like I'm not saying like everyone will get it in like once or twice or thrice. There are people who attempt like last day I saw read one post like he attempted IELTS 11 times and he got his desired score after on the 11th time. So that is what we should appreciate, that is the perseverance, which the hard work and effort which is putting, because whenever you write an exam, if you're failing once or twice or thrice, then the motivation level will keep on going down. You will not be motivated, or you will feel desperate like no, I will not be able to crack this. So that kind of, so there are people who are giving that much of effort to get IELTS. So you can assume like how difficult IELTS is. So that is all about okay, one thing which I can share is like okay, I had two trainers. One is for the speaking, I had Kirti, and so I used to approach Kirti. She's my friend, she's from Punjab, and now she got her PR and she moved to Canada. So there also she is doing some online IELTS training sessions with her students who are there in Canada. So if you want, you can contact me. I can give her reference or email ID, so you can write to her on how to get your classes arranged, like online classes or anything. And the other one is I had one teacher here in Chennai, who she helped me on the speaking sessions apart from Kirti. So I had two teachers for like speaking and writing. So if anyone wants their contact, then I can share their contact. So I had to thank these two people. That is, one is Kirti and the other one is Hema. So both of them helped. And the other things which will work out is your contacts and networks which you can create online. They will also be able to help you to an extent. If you get a good contact or good person, a good teacher who can help you in this IELTS, then definitely it will help you a lot to crack the IELTS. So that is my journey about IELTS, and wish you all the best to crack the IELTS. Thank you.